basketball.
3,000! History with an exclamation point!
Anthony for three. Bang! That one goes down, and the game is tied. The Yankees are champions of baseball.
Okay. Well, let's talk. Hello, everybody. Hello to my Knicks fans out there. It is All-Star break. It's Saturday night, the 14th. I just finished watching the 3-point and dunk contest. Not going to lie. I get less and less interested in that by the year. Tonight, it basically pretty much became background noise. It became background noise. I saw some of the Brunson Cat Shooting Stars challenge that they won. Congrats. But other than that, yeah, that was on in the background. And one of the reasons it was on in the background is because we were taking some notes and going over some film on what we're about to discuss in this episode of the podcast. Episode 1001 here of the show. And we're going to talk about the New York Knicks and specifically about one of our All-Stars. And that, well, actually, I guess we'll technically be talking about both, but the main subject in this one will be centered around Jalen Brunson and specifically how the Knicks and Jalen operate down the stretch of basketball games. Because that's been a topic of conversation, and it got very loud. Man, did it get loud after that Pacers loss. It got very loud, very toxic and negative. Social media. But then it also got pretty loud the next game in a positive way when Brunson came out the gate just passing the ball and finished the entire game with just 6 shot attempts. And that was the same game where the Knicks had over 40 assists. So obviously he heard some of that noise, some of that toxicity among the fans on social media. And it's funny because it's been something that's been a conversation since Brunson has become a Knick. And I just can't believe it's gotten to this point because we've been begging for so long. I know we had Carmelo, but we've been begging for so long to have a guy that you can give the ball down the stretch, to have that guy, right? That guy was always the conversation. They don't have that guy. They need a guy down the stretch who they can feel comfortable with giving the ball to. And we finally got ourselves one. And it still feels like there's a little bit of discourse. So in this show here, we're going to discuss that. And we'll do that the second we get back from our first break here on the podcast. Welcome to BD4, everybody. I appreciate you all for tuning in. If you are new here, welcome to the show. Welcome to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. That's on occasion, though. We do Yanks every series, Knicks every game, and MMA on occasion. But it is the All-Star break, so we're talking Knicks. If you want to find this podcast, you know where to find us in. You can find us in on social media. Sorry, I had a brain cramp there. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We have a website, bd4blog.wordpress.com, that has all those links on there. At BD4Pod on Instagram and on Twitter, BD4 on Facebook. You know where to listen to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. So with that said, let's get to a break, come back, and let's talk about this thing regarding Jalen Brunson.
Quick break here, guys. Stay connected with BD4 on social media. Follow us on Instagram and X at BD4Pod, and find us on Facebook by searching BD4. Don't miss out. Join the conversation.
All right. Welcome back to the show. Episode 1001 of the pod. So the Knicks' late game offense has been louder and louder. The issues against the Pacers showed up. And now it had kind of become this thing where it's just become a whole, like, people are missing the point. Like the idea that Jalen Brunson should not isolate late in crunch time because of things that happened against the Pacers. To me, that's missing the entire point. What's not the problem is isolation. Late game isolations are not the problem. The problem in that game was the process of it. The process is often the problem when things become an issue. It's usually never the result that you really should discuss. It's what led up to it. And that was the issue against Indiana. Brunson, I don't know if you know this, and if you don't know this, where you been? Brunson is one of the best switch hunters in basketball. There's not many better. In crunch time, the goal is to dictate the matchup. It's to flatten the floor and attack the weakest defender of the five on that end. That is what everyone does. It's widespread across the league. That's how offenses work. They go to their guy. Every team does this. Against the Pacers, the issue was not that Brunson isolated, but it was that he targeted the incorrect matchups. He wasn't targeting the guys he needed to target. And what Indiana did very well in this game that nobody's really giving them credit for, and as much as I hate them, I'll be the first one to give them credit for, they did a nice job of staying home. They stayed home. They did not send help, which means the first advantage has to come from forcing the right switch. Right? There were multiple late possessions in that Indiana game where they had their big, what's his name, Huff or Potter. They had their big matched onto Josh Hart or Karl Towns or Ariel Hukporti. That's got to be the trigger. When that happens, when you see the big on one of those guys, you bring that guy into action. You bring his defender into action, you run the screening exchange, you force that switch, and then you attack the switch downhill in space, and you pull. That's got to be what it is. Every time the big is on one of those guys, wherever the big is, wherever the big that doesn't play good defense, the traditional slower big man, that's who Brunson dominates. You have to call them into screen. But instead, Brunson was often waving off that alignment, and he went at way too many smalls in this game, and often it was Naismith. But if the defense is doing what they did, and they're not rotating, and they're not sending a second body, then isolating into a set defense against a capable small like Naismith, well, that's just playing right into their structure. So the issue was just they failed to manufacture the correct ISO onto the big. A lot of the time, too, when the Knicks are in crunch time, defenses will blitz the Knicks down the stretch. They'll hedge the pick and roll. They'll blitz the pick and roll flat out. They won't do what the Pacers did. A lot of the time, they will just blitz. And the Knicks, as we've seen, they do a really good job of exploiting blitzes whenever they help on Brunson. Right? You've seen him hit the short roll with the pocket pass, and then the Knicks from there put defenses in rotation very effectively. But the Pacers staying home, staying attached, not overcommitting, that hurt. It killed those Brunson isolations. For a point guard who destroys bigs in ISO, again, I'll say it again, there were way too many possessions in this game where the big was on Cat, Hart, or Huck. But Brunson was using McHale or whoever else had a small on them to attack that matchup. He wasn't going for the big man switch. Naismith fought over, or Brunson got a switch onto another small, and it just didn't work well. He needed to lean more into those cat pick and rolls. You do that, well, now he's got the right matchup to score on the big, or he can force the Pacers to send help to avoid that matchup, and then Brunson creates a pass opportunity off the help to put them in rotation. It didn't happen, and I want to show you, let's go to 4 clips here, 4 different clips of that happening yesterday. Here's the first one that I'm going to play on the screen if you're watching. Let me rewind it a little bit here. Hold on. So here we go at the top. Jalen Brunson's got ball. It's going to go back to him. Here he is. Right here, he's got Naismith. And if you go to Ariel Huckporty right down there, kind of near the baseline, he's got the big on him. That is who Brunson needs to be calling into action right away with. Get that switch and isolate that big. But instead, he's going right at Naismith here. Forces a bad shot. Pacers go 2 the other way. That was with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Pacers were up 1. A minute later, again, Brunson going right at Naismith in semi-transition here. Who's got the big this time? It's Cat. Cat's on the weak side corner. Cat needs to be the one screening. Brunson needs to be running pick and roll here with Cat. Look who Cat has on him. He's got Potter. Brunson was cooking him. That's got to be the matchup you hunt for. Instead, Brunson, we're going to see, goes right at Naismith, forces a tough post miss. Can't be happening. Another one here. This one is 1 minute left. Pacers up 1. Knicks with the ball. Brunson's got Naismith again. Who's got the big? They scram switch it real quickly here, and the big is now on Hart. Now Hart's got the big. Hart should be the one screening for Brunson here. Brunson doesn't take a screen. He isos, pulls up. It's another front rim 3. And then the last one I want to go over here comes with 30-something seconds left here. Brunson runs pick and roll. Again, he brings somebody in to screen this time, but you got two smalls. 2 guards. It's hard to screen. Rejects it. Still has Naismith. But who's got the big? Cat does. Look down at the dunker spot. Cat's on the strong side dunker spot. He's got the big man. That needs to be the pick and roll. It can't be Josh Hart here. Cat's got to be the one running pick and roll with Brunson. You have to get the big switch. So it happened way too much down the stretch. It just happened way too much, and it hurt the Knicks offense. 4 different possessions. Those are huge. So it's not the isolation itself. Metrically, Brunson is just as good in isolation in the fourth quarter as he is in isolation throughout the game. And then when he is blitzed, he's even better. But Indiana just wasn't blitzing. Now, there is some nuance and some middle ground to be found here. Because you can do matchup hunting within structured offense by layering your sets and having weak side action while the primary ball screen is creating offense for Brunson. You can do that. And doing that makes it more complicated for the defense, right? It forces them to make multiple decisions instead of making it easier for them to just focus on the one ball screen. And I actually thought the Knicks did that pretty well down the stretch against Indiana. When you layer your actions like that, you just have too many things to worry about. So you can say that, yeah, they should get into that more instead of just basic ISOs. But that wasn't really the complaint, right? The complaint was that Brunson was just doing too much ISO, and I thought that was crazy. And to be fair, Brunson can also do a better job of hitting Cat on the pop. Right? Bringing Cat into screen, yes, it can get the big matchup for Brunson, but it also opens up Cat. Right? If they decide not to switch it, Cat's open on the pop. Brunson can turn the corner. But Brunson and Cat, that chemistry has been, not perfect on the offensive end for 2 years now, since they've been together. He doesn't always make the read to Cat on the pop. And when he does see it, sometimes his size can limit the pass out of a double. Got 2 bodies around him. He can't really get to that pass. He's not really consistently capable of making that skilled behind the back pass. And he's a guy who just likes to get buckets. He's a scorer. He's got the mentality. So sometimes he wants to take over and he puts it on himself. That's something we're just going to have to live with. But I think a perfect example of Brunson not hitting Cat there on the pop, you saw that in this game. And this was with 12 seconds left. Here we go. With 12 seconds left, the Knicks run slob. It's a slob set. Sideline out of bounds. But you have weak side action. You've got Cat setting the screen here. Brunson comes off Cat's screen. Indiana's going to blitz it this time. They put 2 on Brunson. Right here. Brunson needs to be hitting the pop. Cat's wide open on the pop. And if he makes that pass, there's a decent chance it's a tie game. But Brunson pulls right away. And once again, he front rims a 3. That pass right here needs to be made. He had the pop. He even had the roll. But obviously, it's your last possession here. Tie this game with a pick and pop 3. So it's part of it's on him too. But the philosophy behind this offense and what they do late, it's a sound philosophy. It's not a philosophy I have a problem with. The idea of going to this type of offense, it's limiting turnovers, limiting offensive fouls. That's the point of this style of offense late. Less turnovers. Brunson is extremely efficient at not turning the ball over. So you're deciding between one of 2 styles of offense. Either play this high pass, swing style of offense with ball movement that every Knicks fan creates in their heads and risk a turnover this way for a potential higher quality shot, or take a lower quality shot that you're guaranteed to get off. And remember, with option 2, you're doing this with the clutch player of the year, with the captain of your team, with the franchise savior, with one of the best shot makers in the game. So the Knicks feel comfortable going to the ladder. And it's not unique to the Knicks. It's league-wide. Many offenses simplify late in the games for their star player. People will only criticize it when it doesn't work, and then they praise it when it does. But at the end of the day, this style of offense works at a solid clip for them. It's metrically backed up, so I have no issue going to it. Do you remember how the Knicks beat the Celtics last year? It wasn't just behind good defense. It wasn't just behind poor shot making and shot taking from Boston. Look at some of those games where they went to Brunson ball, hero ball, ISO ball, whatever you want to call it, down the stretch. Even some of those Pistons game. Hunt and Cade. When you do it right, you should have no problem with it. So that's where I am with it, and I think I think it's a fair philosophy. I really do think it is. I just think people don't think enough. So I don't know. That's what I think. We're going to head to a final break, get back, and wrap this up. Stay with us.
Want more BD4? Subscribe to our YouTube channel and never miss an episode. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and share with your fellow fans. Don't forget to ring that bell so you're always the first to know when a new video drops. Love BD4 but don't have the time to sit down and watch? Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify so you never miss an episode. And if you're enjoying the show, leave us a 5-star rating and a quick review. It helps us grow and keeps the conversation going.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Really briefly before we wrap this thing up, just want to give a quick shout out in front of all 2 people who listen to this, to at Shaq's NBA on Twitter. Gave me the idea to record an episode. Just he had a, he's a film analyst, and he goes through some of these clips, and he wrote an article on this exact topic, and it just gave me the idea. Let me do an episode on it. So definitely go follow at Shaq's NBA on Twitter. Breaks down some really good film. But yeah, that's all I basically wanted to get through tonight. Just wanted to talk for 20 minutes on this issue. And I know the Knicks are coming off a fun win in Philly, but they will, get right back into the gauntlet once the second half starts. They got Detroit, they've got Houston, so it's going to be a fun one, hopefully. But with that said, that is all we got. I appreciate you all tuning in as always, and I'll see you very soon. Later. Hey guys, thank you for listening to BD4. Be sure to follow us on social media, subscribe to us on YouTube, and give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time.